Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ango Show. It is February 5th, 2025. My name is Ango, and of course, today I'm joined by Billy TKO. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see Mojo Dojo, Darth Baines, Laws, Trey Lusado, Kevin Schiffman. We got tons of members here. Justin Kennington. Shout out to everybody that has pulled up today. We're talking wrestling. To be honest with you, maybe the title of the stream isn't really most appropriate because we're just going to talk about a lot of shit. To be honest, there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about, but that's what makes these live streams fun. So it is what it is. Last night was NXT.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to talk about NXT in its entirety because I still feel like there's a major flaw with NXT, and obviously we'll talk about that too. But Billy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Happy to be here. It's a beautiful day.
I love hearing that.
Yes, sir.
I love hearing that. This kind of went under the surface, but apparently we have 6 more weeks of winter.
Yeah, I seen that with the groundhog.
Yeah, just I don't know why we haven't talked about that, but that's kind of depressing to me. I need summer.
So do I, really bad. I need warm weather, especially here in Michigan.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's tough, man. We go through it over here.
Crazy, man.
There's supposed to be an ice storm tonight.
An ice storm?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let me check my thing. Are you for real?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
Hell no. Oh shit.
I'm Michigan made, baby. I got Verner's in the cup. I got my Detroit hat on, and we're ready to roll.
Oh, Verner's in the cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got some shitty weather coming this week.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding, dude. It went from like 19 degrees to 17 degrees in like a matter of 5 minutes.
At least we're not dealing with the -7 like we were the other week.
Right. I guess I'll take this over that.
Kevin Schiffman says, I am here in Buffalo, New York, and it sucks, dude.
Oh, dude, they're not far from us.
Buffalo, New York?
Yeah, they're about 4 hours from us.
Really? No.
Yeah, bro. 4 or 5 hours.
How?
Bro, I didn't know this up until last year. I'm going to be so dead ass, bro. Like, I did not know this until last year, but I looked on my maps and I was like, man, I'd love to go to like a Buffalo Bills game. And out of nowhere, I look and it's like, oh, yeah, it's 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, bro, what?
Nah, that's wild. Yeah, I had no idea.
That's why they call us the Lake Erie Bros.
Wait, is that because of Niagara Falls? Is like Niagara Falls like a shortcut to Buffalo, New York or something?
I don't know.
The drive to New York is like 9 to 10 hours, I think.
Yeah, to like New York itself.
Yeah.
But Buffalo is only about 4 or 5 hours. I found that out recently.
That's insane.
Yep.
That's insane.
That's why after the Lions, I root for the Bills.
Yeah, I don't root for anybody other than the Lions. Actually, I'm going to be done rooting for the Lions if they can't get me a fucking Super Bowl in my lifetime. That's for sure.
It sounds like they're going to get Cooper Kupp. We're not going to make this about football, but
ooh,
yeah, it sounds like they're trying to go get Cooper Kupp.
And we got a couple of minutes. We're waiting for people to come in.
Yeah, we chit chatted up a little bit. How's the chat doing? Everybody all right?
Yeah, what's up, chat? I'm sure people have noticed that maybe I'm a little bit more calm today.
Yeah, why are you so relaxed, man? Bring back Mad Ango.
Bro, it's just I've looked at my behavior the last few streams and it's just very immature and very yeah, man, just very immature.
Oh, went on a tirade and then sat himself down, looked in the mirror and said, maybe it's time to chill.
Yeah, maybe it's just a little, more relaxed Ango.
Yeah.
What do you guys like? What is the chat like? You guys like more relaxed Ango, or you guys like when I turn it up a little bit,
Darth Baines said he's living the dream. Heard that one before, brother. Whose dream?
But what is the dream and whose dream is it? Yeah. Right. That's funny. Oh man, what a day. Obviously last night was NXT.
Yeah.
I have my complaints about NXT, so I'll definitely talk about that because it's just I feel like I'm kind of saying the same thing about NXT every week, which is why I don't want to.
Yeah, it's almost like recycled.
Yeah, it's recycled for sure. And it's definitely getting to the point where it's just like not even, I don't know. Something needs to change in NXT. Really good show, but it's just not.
The thing is like it's good, it's fluent or whatever, but there's just pieces that are missing that aren't hitting for me right now.
Yeah, so we'll definitely talk about that. And then, of course, we have our super chat goal. So if you guys want to support the channel, you guys want to help the channel grow, feel free to drop a super chat. There's a couple different ways you could support the channel. So one is to become a champion. You guys could get the title belt next to your name. There's emotes and VIP Discord access and everything like that. Live chat priority. You guys already know the drill. It starts at $1.99 a month. And then, of course, the super chats are a big one. And shout out to everybody who does drop a super chat and basically drives the discussion forward.
Yes.
Really definitely appreciate that. And, here's the thing, man. Like, we've had a string of some really good shows on the Ango show. And there becomes a time period in the week when we have these shows, which I'm starting to realize that they're not as enjoyable as other.
They like mellow out.
Yeah, and today is one of those days, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping you guys can keep us engaged with good questions and good comments and good ideas. Because truth be told, man, NXT, like I said, I could just sit here and rant on NXT for fucking 6 hours. I don't know if you guys actually want that, but if you guys want to support the channel, definitely consider doing a super chat. And of course, we'll pull up the chat. Tolino channel actually dropped a super chat to kick things off. Hope Duke Hudson joined Steph DeLander in TNA. I made a video on this. Duke Hudson was quietly released. Fightful had dropped that news. Duke Hudson, part of the Chase University thing, and I was kind of shocked because the news came out that Triple H essentially just didn't look at him like a main roster star.
Yeah, because he was a little bit older, right?
I think that's a load of shit, to be honest. I hate that excuse. I think Triple H, if that is true, I think that's a shitty ass excuse, honestly.
Yeah,
because
there's a lot of guys that are much older than Duke Hudson.
I mean, look at the final four of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Aside from Logan Paul, like everybody is older and like I don't know. To me, I didn't like that. I don't like that. I think that's a cop out for an excuse.
Did you see the video that Duke Hudson released?
I thought it was sick. Yeah,
I thought it was too. I actually really enjoyed it. So I think that's a big problem, right? Is like a lot of these guys don't really get to showcase their talent the way that maybe they should.
But it's weird because Duke Hudson was actually a really integral piece of Chase U.
Yeah.
And so seeing him in Chase University, it was like, man, like I think there's a story arc for him breaking off from the group and going singles. And
well, look at what they did with Ridge Holland. It was simple. You could have easily told that story a couple times, just in a different way.
Yeah. And it's nothing against Ridge, but like, I don't know. To me, it just seems like it was a kind of, if you could do it with Ridge Holland, then you for sure could do it with Duke Hudson. That's kind of how I felt about it.
There's more there with Duke Hudson.
Yeah. Hey, Steph DeLander's in TNA. She's got some cool stuff going on with Mance Warner there. I think Duke Hudson should go to TNA. Duke Hudson going to TNA would be a really perfect example is Steve Cutler. For those who don't remember Steve Cutler, he now goes by the name of Steve Macklin. He was in WWE, spent a little bit of time in NXT, got to the main roster, very little stuff on the main roster. But then we saw, obviously he was associated with Baron Corbin at the time. But then once he went to TNA, it was like this guy just completely fucking evolved. To the point where it's like, oh, holy shit. Like that's Steve Cutler from NXT. Like what?
Yeah, no, and he's doing great work over in TNA.
Yeah. So I always say, like, if you really want a chance to go and change people's perception of you, yeah, definitely go to TNA and maybe you could do some cool stuff. I think for Duke Hudson, the problem is, and this is an issue with wrestling, and I think this is an issue that I've noticed within NXT, but I feel like if you have a comedy character in NXT or like a character that's associated with a comedic thing,
yeah,
I think it's I think your ceiling is very, very low on the main roster. In the Triple H era, I think.
Yeah, for sure, because it's like he's very serious with the stories that he wants to tell, and you can kind of see that right up front.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's not a lot of place for the comedic role. You kind of got R-Truth, and that's about it.
Yeah, and you have Tozawa and Otis and stuff.
But even that is getting a little bit more of a serious light in some aspects.
People got to remember that Chase University really took off because of NXT 2.0. And then obviously the vision for NXT changed and they still remained over, so they still got TV time. But I think because Vince doesn't run the main roster, I don't think Chase U would have been. I mean, that's kind of why we've seen the downfall of the Chase University story in general.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you think that they would have had Shine on Vince's main roster?
they would have definitely been
Yeah,
backstage segments like
yeah,
comedy and stuff for sure. Which I mean, dude, comedy characters, I think there's very few that have truly been successful, like where they
mhm,
can have massive accolades. But I think for the most part, like comedy characters are stuck in that comedy zone, which there's nothing wrong with that. Some people are designed for that and meant for that. I just think there's a little bit of an issue.
right.
I definitely think there's a little bit of an issue when you look at certain talent and you're like Chase University, like Andre Chase is awesome, but I think if you're constantly associated with comedy, people won't take you as serious.
I was about to say
And
because Andre Chase himself is actually great.
yeah, I mean, I watched
And
his work in the Indies and
what's the other one? Riley.
Riley Osborne.
He's great. That dude
Oh,
in the ring is phenomenal.
yeah, but then it's hard because I think you're associated with this like comedy thing, so it's just I think that makes it a little bit of an issue for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. We got another super chat from Brad Phillips here. Brad Phillips says, "Hey Ango, $5 super chat. Hey Ango, I'm a WWE guy only. Should I start watching TNA? No access, would need TNA Plus, worth the time and money. Think TKO will end up buying TNA." This is an awesome super chat. I think this is
Yeah.
going to lead to a great conversation.
Yes, it will.
Um, so here's how I look at it, Brad. I'm going to tell you from my perspective. Those who know me that know I've been doing YouTube since like 2008, 2009. A lot of people don't know that TNA was the reason why I got into YouTube. A lot of that was the company I first started covering and talking about, and everything that I did with WWE video games always related to TNA. Um, the thing about TNA is that under the Anthem leadership,
Mhm.
they are a lot better than they were under Dixie Carter. However, they are better because I feel like they understand their role in the wrestling industry. So, what I always say about TNA is, and look, the TNA thing came back last year at Hard to Kill, the name, but the way Anthem kind of ran Impact in TNA for the last few years has always been about consistent programming.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've always done a good job of being a consistent program. TNA doesn't have the biggest names, but this is where you kind of discover who is going to potentially be a big name. Now, with that being said, and this is where I really, really think TNA Plus is worth the time and money. You don't have to have access to watch it, but if you have TNA Plus, you could watch the episodes every single week, every Thursday. And on top of that, you have the ability to get their specials that they do,
Mhm.
and you have the ability to have access to their insane tape library.
Yeah, that tape library, I just the night they went live, I paid for it.
Yeah.
So it was pretty recent.
So
Um, go ahead.
no, continue.
No, I was just gonna say one thing that as somebody because Brad, I'm kind of like you in this aspect, right? I didn't watch a lot of TNA. It wasn't necessarily something that I was going out of my way to go look for because I didn't have access to access, right? I also didn't have access to a lot of the stuff that TNA was on because they are kind of limited in the States, I think, when it comes to where they're like the channel provider and stuff like that and
Yeah.
how to actually reach them. But I did end up paying for the TNA Plus. And I'm a big person on like wrestling history. Like I really like the history of pro wrestling. And you can kind of go way back and really dig deep to what TNA really was in the beginning, what it turned into. Like there's a lot there. I mean, seeing some of your favorite wrestlers, dude, like for instance, Samoa Joe, right?
Yeah.
Huge Samoa Joe fan. And knowing that that's where Samoa Joe spent most of his time was in TNA. So a lot of those matches that you think about between him and AJ Styles, you see in TNA. There's just numerous amounts that you can get out of TNA Plus. I genuinely think it's a great purchase. And what, it's $9.99 a month.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. But I'll let you finish.
Yeah, and then I think Billy just hit the point. Like that tape library is really good. But also one thing too, with TNA Plus, you're not locked into a contract, which is nice because if you feel like you're not enjoying the product, then you're not like stuck with it. However, what I really like about TNA Plus too, and this is like a really cool thing about it, is the app just straight up works. Like
Yeah.
I never have issues. I never had issues with TNA Plus once they moved into the Endeavor era of streaming,
Hmm.
which was really huge because the thing about TNA is like perfect example, and we'll talk about him in today's stream. But like Josh Alexander, uh, he is one of the like Josh Alexander and Jordan Grace. Like it was bound for them to leave at some point, right? But
Yeah.
like these are two people where it's like, man, they really held it down when Anthem bought Impact and some of these top names had left the company and they went to WWE or they went to AEW, it really got to the point where like Josh Alexander and Jordan Grace and many other people stepped up on TV. So what was really cool about that though was when these people stepped up for the program, you started to see a lot more emphasis on like this emergence of new talent.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can get that anywhere else other than NXT.
No,
I
because let's be real here. Who were Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander before the emergence of TNA?
yeah.
You
And
know, not saying that they didn't have a name or anything like that, but
they didn't.
exactly.
You know.
It's a fact.
Yeah, there's a lot of credit to be given to TNA there. There are some things about the TNA programming that I don't like that I've talked about publicly a lot. I think their production could be a little bit better. I think their quality in general could be a little bit better.
But again, I think that goes into what they're going to do in the future, you know, because it seems like they're lining up to eventually find a way to have better production. When I bought and purchased TNA Plus and seen the live event, it looks like they're working on that side of production.
yeah, so they definitely have improved it, but it's not
All
on the
the way
level of
there.
WWE or
Right.
AEW, but it's
Exactly.
definitely improved. But I do think they are a very, very solid weekly product. I think we saw it when they went live as well. The more live episodes they do, I think people will even be bought in more. So do I think it's worth the time and money? I do. With that being said, there's a part of your question that I obviously spent a little bit of time avoiding for a second. Do I think TKO will end up buying TNA? Every person in the IWC wants to believe that is what's going to happen. Right now, as it stands, WWE and Endeavor can't do that. So Endeavor, TKO, they cannot do that.
Why
They're,
can't
they're
they?
because it's in their contract clause from when
Okay.
they bought
Okay.
WWE.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
With that being said, though, I do think WWE is ultimately using a TNA as a tool for two reasons. And I've said this before. The reason why I don't think they end up buying TNA, I believe genuinely it's because they want TNA to do better than AEW. So if they can offer a helping hand, I think that would help kind of diminish AEW. I've always said if you know the second company, the second top company in the world right now is AEW.
Yep.
They trail behind WWE, and AEW and WWE are in a perception war. There's a lot of that. So if TNA exists and TNA does really well and it slows down AEW, that's a tool for WWE. At the same time, using TNA as a tool to cross over with talent, crossover storylines. Of course, WWE has WWE ID programs, so maybe
Yep.
having some WWE ID talent getting used on TNA, like there's benefits to it. I don't think they will end up buying TNA. However, I can never say never. I genuinely don't believe that they will.
Yeah, no, I actually don't think they will either. I think now knowing, thank you, Ango. Now knowing that it's in their contract that they're not able to, I think that kind of gives you the answer kind of right away, right? It's that they can't. But also, I also agree with you here. AEW is the second, quote unquote, second best company in the United States, at least, right?
Yeah.
And WWE is going to do anything in their power to completely rid of that, especially. I mean, let's be real here. When you think about all the things that have been said throughout the years between both companies, you know what I mean? You have to think that WWE doesn't really appreciate everything that AEW has done to them, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to do everything in their power to help the company that in some light has been good to them. You know what I mean? You can make the argument back in like 2010 when they tried doing Monday Night Raw with Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, but that was horrible, and we all know how that went. But again, it goes down to just I know for me, if I was a business, right, I would do everything in my power to stop that business that's technically, let's be real here, they're not right next to them. That's perception, but very close to them, right?
Yeah.
I would do anything to knock them off their high horse.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a competitive game.
Yeah, and that's the business side of things. And one thing too that I will mention about the TNA like WWE thing is that I think a lot of people in the IWC really want WWE to buy TKO or to buy TNA. Like I think they want TKO buying TNA just simply so they can say all this negative, nasty shit about them. And I do believe that's the reason why a lot of people are hopeful for that. They try to manifest it.
Killing the scene.
Killing the scene, monopoly, this and that. at the end of the day, there was a time period where a lot of people forget about this, but there was a time period where TNA tried to go to war with WWE on Monday nights, and it failed miserably. But the difference now is that the company that owns TNA isn't that company. So you don't see TNA trying to be at war with WWE. You don't see TNA trying to kill
Be
the
at war with,
WWE.
they're not even being at war with AEW, honestly.
No. TNA is kind of like hey, we know our market, we know which markets work for us, and we're just going to give the people who watch us a good product. And obviously, they want to grow, but it's not like they're making desperate attempts to grow. They've been very strategic in the way they've been ran, and that's one of the reasons why I think TNA is very hard to kill. Pun intended. I think it is very hard for people to see TNA. Like I genuinely believe that it will be very hard for TNA to go away because they've been making a lot of responsible decisions. And listen, this is the way the internet works, and this is what pisses me off is that I suffered through some really bad times in TNA, Impact Wrestling, some really bad ones. But anytime this company has had talent leave or there was some bad times, they always figured out a way to get back on track, which, to be honest with you, if we're looking at the AEW product creatively right now, I think they're having a hard time getting back on track. It's not apples to apples comparison. We are talking about two different sized companies. But I like the fact that TNA is a company where whenever they do hit a very weird spot, they end up rebounding. And it's going to be really interesting, right? Jordan Grace just left the company. It's expected that Josh Alexander leaves the company in a week or so. That is something to mention. Now, here's what I will say. If TNA Plus, and this is my reason for TNA Plus, I have TNA Plus because I watch TNA weekly, right? I don't have Access TV. The minute that I find out that TNA gets a better TV deal, which, by the way, there's a lot of talks and rumors of something happening, uh, you know, if they do get a better TV deal, I don't know if I need TNA Plus because I don't know if I really need
The tape library.
But, also at the same time, too, it depends what that new TV deal would include. There's rumors of streaming getting involved and their PLEs and their specials being moved, too. So for right now, yeah, 100%. And then regarding TKO buying TNA, no, I don't think so.
I will say this, though, just kind of like a side note here. Seeing Joe Hendry sitting on Ariel Helwani's having the TNA title there on his desk, kind of insane.
And it just goes to show you, like, there's a lot of people who don't think Joe Hendry is good, but the reality is it kind of goes back to what I was saying with, Jey Uso the other day. It's like,
Doesn't matter.
You don't need to be the best wrestler. You need to be the best character, and you got to get over, and you got to be a draw. And Joe Hendry has done a really good job of, even outside of TNA, people who don't know him know who, like, if people don't know TNA or they don't know wrestling, they do kind of know Joe Hendry, which,
dude, all you got to do is see the little video.
Yeah. So it's cool. Shout out to Brad Phillips for the $5 super chat. Ronnie Southern dropped a $10 super chat.
Okay.
He says, Thea Hale hasn't been seen since the storyline with Chase U came to a close. I hope she doesn't fall by the wayside like Duke Hudson unfortunately did. I enjoyed her time on TV. So this is where things could be a little bit different, right? Duke Hudson is significantly older than Thea Hale. Now, I'm not using this against Duke Hudson because as I elaborated earlier, I don't like that reason for him being released. I think it's fluff. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's typical WWE nonsense. But Thea Hale, people forget how young she actually is, and she has shown so much progression in such a short period of time that I think eventually they will have plans for Thea Hale, something that will naturally click. And the good thing about that is because she's so good at the age that she already is, when more time and more experience comes in, WWE will find a way to utilize her and be successful with her. So I don't think WWE will drop Thea Hale, but also here's what I will say. You never freaking know, man.
No, I mean, you may think that about Thea Hale, but WWE ultimately could feel the exact opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of those you never know situations. But yeah, no, I'm in agreement here. I hope she doesn't fall to the wayside because you've seen her develop, especially over the last 2-3 years, right?
Yeah.
You've seen her develop and you've seen her grow. And and only time is going to tell that. But again, I think it goes down to I genuinely don't think it's going to happen to her, especially her out of all four of them that were in Chase University, right? The four main. I think
Yeah.
it would be her that they watch the most.
Yeah. You know, and I hate to say this, and this is like the truth, but this is where it becomes kind of dangerous bringing in more polished people into NXT. So, for example, Julia and Stephanie Vicker probably won't be in NXT forever, but right now they're holding it down in NXT.
Yeah, because now
And
what that creates is like a your people that were there to be systematic, right?
yeah,
They just they fall to the wayside essentially.
yeah.
That's a big problem.
So that is the thing, right? Though, like Julia and Stephanie are a little bit more polished, and obviously they're a little bit more of like, they're definitely more polished than some of these other people in NXT. So they come in, they bring NXT some star value, some star power, and then it kind of moves Thea Hale to the side for a little bit. But here's the thing, right? Like, let's have a genuine conversation about this.
Yeah.
So you see that Thea Hale gets kind of pushed to the side a little bit,
Mhm.
but look at Nikita Lyons. Nikita Lyons was somebody that everybody thought in NXT 2.0 was
Gonna be
for
the
sure
yeah.
world champion,
Mm,
main roster success. And
yeah.
I'm not saying no to that, but I think the genuine conversation that needs to be had is, okay, she's injury prone. Um, Maybe she's a little bit more green in the ring. This is what I see people saying. And then it's like, well, of course, you know, you go from seeing like her presence and her aura when she originally comes into NXT, and you're like, wow, Nikita Lyons is going to be a star. Then she gets out, then she
Right
comes
there.
back, and then it's like, oh, okay, now she's not as like polished anymore.
Mhm.
It kind of took a toll on her. Um, so I think people's perception ultimately changed, where they're like, why would you invest in Nikita Lyons when you have Julia, Stephanie Vicker, Zarya, and some of these other people that are just way more like over? They're going to be way more over. They're going to be way more of a star in the main roster, right? So this is where the ideologies change in pro wrestling, and this is one of those things where I don't necessarily think it's fair, but when you have somebody like Thea Hale who is incredibly young and so much talent, you could kind of let her float around a little bit until you
Well
find something that
well,
works
I
for her.
I hate to be this guy. Don't you think this would be a great time to utilize Evolve?
Well, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I definitely see NXT stars going into Evolve to have some of those
Yeah.
matches, you know?
You know, like somebody like a Thea Hale or a Nikita Lyons, you know what I mean, who are still a little green, but WWE obviously they may see something in them and want to continue their future there with them. So I think that this is like the perfect opportunity to quote unquote have some people who have a little more experience go to Evolve while
Yeah.
creating new stars in Evolve to eventually go up more.
Yeah.
It's like a trickle down effect.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely an opportunity, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that's definitely a possibility. There's an opportunity to get things done there. But I can understand Ronnie's super chat. Like, I hope she doesn't fall by the wayside like Duke Hudson. It's not an apples to apples comparison, because in WWE's eyes, their reason for releasing Duke Hudson is that they don't think that he could be a star in the main roster. I do think naturally people in WWE are behind Thea Hale. I
Yeah.
think they know that she could be a big star eventually. But it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about the comedy character stuff. Thea Hale kind of has that comedy aspect to her. Um, I think comedy automatically will naturally lose to somebody like a Julia or a Stephanie Vicker or a Charlotte Flair or a Becky Lynch or something like that. Like, you don't really see comedy characters mixing it up with them. If you look at Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, I think the storyline was kind of dumb, a love angle, but it's not a comedy angle.
Mm.
Same thing, and I'm not saying that comedy characters can't work in WWE, because look at Chelsea Green, but Chelsea Green will have to evolve to be taken a little bit more seriously as a contender if you're putting her up against Charlotte. So
Sure.
naturally, you kind of are at a disadvantage. I think maybe Thea Hale will benefit from being off TV and not being used consistently until they find the thing that clicks. And by the way, the reason why I think it works with Thea Hale is because at one point they did the whole thing with her and JC Jane, and JC was being a bad influence on her, and she started doing makeup and leather and black, and like there was things like of that nature where Thea Hale was starting to kind of shift away, and then she kind of got pulled back into the
Yeah,
Chase U thing.
I remember that.
So definitely possibilities. But yeah, Ronnie, great super chat. I think that's a really good conversation to be had. And
For sure.
and again, I just want to be clear. I don't support them getting rid of Duke Hudson because,
I do not either.
you know, not me personally. It's not a personal thing. I don't talk about wrestlers on a personal level, but when I see that Ridge Holland was able to break away from it, and by the way, a lot of people aren't really like fans of that. I feel like Duke Hudson is somebody that could have had that opportunity. And by the way, Duke Hudson was ultimately fucked on the main roster because people forget. I think it was like 2019 or 2020. He was doing tag team stuff on the main roster. People forget that Vince McMahon had him there. Brennan Vink. This was
with
like the
freaking
Shane
Slapjack.
Slapjack. Yeah. Well, Shane Thorne, but you know, or I don't know. I don't remember if they called him Shane Thorne on the main roster or not. But
yeah, they did.
yeah, there was that whole thing, and it was a very, very short-lived thing. And you know, I don't feel like he was ever really given that chance to like really do stuff. They say the decision
dude was never
came.
able to shine, honestly.
Yeah, but he was able to shine in the Chase University thing. So why not see?
Yes.
And by the way, let me just say, like, my reason for kind of being against the idea of Duke Hudson being released, honest to God, is it has everything to do with the fact that NXT's main roster or NXT's main event scene for the men is just not clicking for me right now. It's not entertaining to me. It's a subjective matter, but to me personally, I think it's very, very weak. I just think the booking and the structure and the names, and I just think it's weak, honestly. So to me, it's like, man, why not, before you make that decision to release him, why not see what happens if he went on a heel run, he was repackaged, put him in the spot, and see what he can do. He's got a good look. He's tall. He's muscular. Like WWE kind of has this typical thing of what they want a wrestler to look like. He could fit that.
Yeah, he fit that mold.
So I felt like that was kind of a weird thing, to be honest.
Quietly released.
And that happened in January. So the fact that it didn't happen, weird.
And it stayed quiet for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Strange. Shout out to Ronnie Southern for the super chat. There was another super chat from Tolino Channel. He says, "Do you think Wesley is in the Ricochet arc? Both can have great matches, but both lack a proper character. Apart from Rascal's angle, he is struggling." I don't think Wesley is struggling. He's got Tyreek and Tyrone with him. They got something building there. But I do think Wesley will always have a ceiling, kind of like Ricochet. You know, he'll be able to go into the Intercontinental or U.S. title picture. He'll be able to go and throw some big matches and stuff like that, which is fine.
Get a world title shot.
Guys, I say, like, what Ricochet was in WWE was completely fine. I think what really made me cringe with Ricochet was he came to AEW, and I don't know whether it's in character or not. It doesn't really matter. But the verbiage coming out like, "Oh, I'm going to carry this company on my back" type thing or whatever. To me, I feel like that is kind of like, man, like you gotta have a really strong presence and character about you to be in that main event scene.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it's tough. I think Wesley could definitely be successful on the main roster. You can't talk about these, like, we have these conversations on the Ango show live where we talk about the 6-man ladder match potentially for an Intercontinental Championship. Like those have Wesley written all over it. But if you tell me it's going to be Wesley versus Seth Rollins in the main event scene, you're going to have to create something really good to give me a believer in both of those guys, because the way Seth Rollins has obviously been built up for the last 10 years versus the way Wesley has been built up, there's just like it's just not, again, the common theme is it's not an apples to apples comparison.
No, it's just a situation in the hand that the person is dealt.
But if you want it to make sense, it has to be apples to apples. They have to be on the same level.
Yes.
So do I think Wesley is in the Ricochet arc? Kind of, in a sense. But I don't think the character aspect is a bad thing. I like the fact that he's kind of got his own little group, and he's got two guys who are a little bit inexperienced coming in, and they're kind of like his heavy. So I do like that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then apart from the Rascals angle, he is struggling. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
I don't think he's struggling that bad.
No. But you got to remember, like, Wesley, just like, he had an incredible North American Championship run. Then you got Obafemi Again, this is the issue with NXT. It's like you got to propel people to the top of the main event of NXT, and they're not necessarily
Well, I
doing
think
that.
that's kind of a problem because what they're doing is we haven't seen an NXT call up in quite some time.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people have just stayed in the scene, and then they've just been reused and recycled, right?
Yeah.
So these people are just kind of in like this stagnant, stay still spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me personally, I think Ethan Page should have gone up a long time ago. And now they got him feuding with Javon Evans, and it's like, okay, that's a great feud, and I like it, I enjoy it, but I don't think that it's something that needs to be told on TV, and I think you can get away with it without a feud like that and just send Ethan Page up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and then one thing too is you got to remember Obafemi, and I said this a couple of weeks ago on the NXT episode, was like, he's been built up to be very difficult to beat. So it's very challenging when a lot of the guys, like perception wise, a lot of the guys in NXT are smaller than Obafemi. And I think that's what makes it hard for a guy like Wesley. If he was this believable babyface to dethrone Obafemi, oh my God, there's money written all over that. People would be excited. People got to remember his injury that took him out, and people didn't know if he would be able to wrestle again. He comes back. There would have been a lot of layers to that and a lot of great things, but I think that's where maybe NXT kind of fucked up. And I'm not gonna lie, like I definitely, for as much as I criticize AEW, I have to start criticizing NXT a little bit more and more and more because of the fact that like I'm constantly talking about the same thing. I am recycling the same thing every week. The main event scene in NXT is very weak booking. It is very weak booking. You're not making me a believer. Everything else on the show is fine, but that right there, it's gotten to the point where I'm literally saying, hey, maybe they need to rely on somebody from TNA to come in. And that should never be the thing. WWE should never have to look at TNA to help build a program for NXT.
What I was saying a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But dude, I didn't know that you criticized WWE. A lot of people have told me that you're on the payroll.
Oh, I am. It's written into my contract. At least once a week, I have to say at least one negative thing.
All right. Makes sense.
Love it. Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. Darth Bane dropping $1.99. He says, who's the mystery group coming to NXT? So this was super exciting to me. This was the one thing I did like. So because I watch NXT all the time, and I watched NXT Level Up. And I've been talking about this. I don't know if you guys remember, but I've been talking about, hey, man, like they kind of need like a faction or something to change gears a little bit in NXT.
I mean, spice things up a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the one that's going to do it, but based on that image that they showed at the end of NXT last night, Lucky Ali, a.k.a. Saquon Sugars, Cutler James, which was the guy from the Roku show that they did. WWE had the show with Roku. Looking for, I forgot what it was called, but it was like looking for a WWE prospect, that whole show. Yeah. Cutler James, he was pretty impressive in NXT Level Up, and we see him in like some backstage stuff with NXT, but he hasn't really been like having singles matches or anything like that. But Cutler James, Dion Lennox, who we've seen a little bit more on NXT, he's got the backstage gimmick. He was doing this stuff. We've seen him from time to time, but we haven't really seen him like get a push or anything like that. And then the last name, it's a toss-up. So there's a lot of people who are wondering if it's Joshua Black or if it's Keanu Carver.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know if it's Joshua Black or Keanu Carver. Now, what I like about this is that this is an opportunity to take 4 guys who haven't been on WWE NXT television consistently. I like that idea. How they all fit and how they all work together and their chemistry will be very interesting. Because the only one that I know of on this list that actually has wrestling experience is Lucky Ali. And obviously he had bangers and bangers and bangers. People actually forget that he was on NXT television and then got hurt and took him off of TV ever since. So this is his return. Yeah, a lot of people forget that Lucky Ali actually showed up in NXT. Him and Javon Evans are 2 notable names that came from Deadlock Pro Wrestling to NXT. And we haven't really seen. I mean, he signed with WWE. Lucky Ali signed with WWE late 2023. I
Oh, no
think he
way.
had maybe like 3, maybe 4 matches, less than 5 for sure. And he came through and yeah, basically like now it's very clear that's him. I mean, you could see in the
Yeah, I
picture.
mean, with the
Yeah. So it's him, Cutler James. You could tell he's the second guy. The third one is either Joshua Black or Keanu Carver. I think that I think it's got to be Keanu. And then the fourth one is Deion Lennox. It has to be. So I think for sure I think this is the group. Now, what's their name? What are they doing? What's their mission? Who are they going after? I
that
don't
was gonna be
know.
my question is who do you think that they potentially go after?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how they go about it. I don't know who's going to be the leader of this group.
Yeah.
Vengeance Day is what, February 15th?
Is it next week?
Next week, Saturday, I think.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So to me, I'm very intrigued by a new group. I think that's what they need for sure. I think they definitely need a new group to come in. It's interesting though that these are guys that are relatively inexperienced. Again, Saquon Sugars
Being that exception.
Yeah. So listen, man, I love factions. I've said this a lot.
Factions are always fun, and it seems like they utilize them the most on NXT.
I mean, yes and no to a certain extent, yeah. But is this okay? So like the way I look at this is like, is this a situation where you have a clear cut leader and then you have a tag team and then like an enforcer? Like what's that plan?
I don't know. I don't know.
You can't really tell based on these vignettes. So,
no, you definitely can't.
But
it does seem exciting.
But can I be honest though?
Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
You know what fucking pisses me off?
No, dude, don't be honest.
So no, you taking one from me on that one.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that like WWE names are like super like fucking generic. Like,
yeah, what do you think the faction name's gonna be? It's gonna be some dumb shit.
Maybe the faction name isn't even dumb, but just like Cutler James, dude. Like, I don't know. Fucking you give me John Cena versus Cutler James. It just don't sound like a fucking marquee matchup, Like,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I've had this issue with NXT forever. And it's like, I don't know.
Vince cooked with Roman Reigns. That's a fire name.
I don't know who came up with that though. I don't know if that was a Vince.
Yeah, I don't know either. Either way, it's a fire name.
Yeah, Roman Reigns. And it's funny because like sometimes we laugh about certain names that people are given, but like, like I remember seeing Valerie Loretta when she came in to NXT and then they called her Lola Vice. I was like, that's dumb, but it caught on.
Yeah, and it stuck.
So like there's just certain names where I'm like, I don't know, like I feel kind of weird. Like imagine if they changed Jade Cargill's name or if they changed Jordan Grace's name, like what the fuck, bro? Like you can't.
Don't do that.
Yeah. There has definitely been a time like Keanu Carver. Like, I don't know, like these names just sound like Deion Lennox. Like they just sound so generic. And I hate that. Like, I feel like they
like an AI generator.
Yes, dude. Like, I feel like we're going into the times of like wrestling AI name generator and fucking like
what's the coolest name we got here?
All right, let's fuck around. Let's have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, come on, dude.
Let's go to Grok.
Oh, good lord.
All right, hold on. Screen. All right.
All right, are we picking my name and your name?
I don't even know what we're doing. Wait, hold on. I don't know what I'm doing.
We're going.
There we go.
There it is.
Generate. All right. My name is Tony, and I am a wrestler coming to WWE, but they need to change my name. Please generate 5 wrestling superstar names. I don't know.
Tony?
Just that right there.
All right, what'd they give you?
Titan Tony, Rampage Reed, Blaze Baxter. This is like some WWE bullshit for sure.
Bro, Blaze Baxter.
Storm Slater, definitely a WWE.
Oh my god.
Cyclone Cole. Okay, that's crazy. You guys see this shit? Blaze Baxter, don't get any ideas. I know maybe Triple H is
bro, I was
listening.
about to say.
Blaze Baxter. Like Braun Breaker is such a fucking dumb name, but it worked. It eventually
Yeah,
worked.
It's stuck.
But like, I don't know, man. Fuck. There's just certain names that suck. Now let's see if I redo this and I put my name is Billy. Let's see what they come up with.
Come on, let's see what they do.
Brute Bill, Wildfire Wells, Brawler Brooks, Thunder Tate, Slammer Shaw.
Thunder Tate is insane. These names are
Now make them more funny. I don't know. Belly Flop Billy, Silly Slammer, Wacky Whiplash, Tickle Tornado, Banana Peel Brooks. Yeah.
Tickle Tornado. That's my new name.
But like, here's the thing: WWE would be like, BP Brooks is the name.
Yeah,
and then people would be
yeah.
like Banana Peel. I don't know, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's too funny, dude.
But it is true. Like I have a hard time taking, like, when I see the names Keanu Carver or like Cutler James or something. I just think that's like crazy.
Yeah, the chat found Blaze Baxter funny, and I knew that one's hilarious.
Yeah, that's wild, bro. Blaze Baxter. Oh my god.
Did somebody say Billberg?
Billberg. Oh my god. Hey, listen, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get WWE 2K25 this year. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't have a game console anymore, just my PC.
Me either. We should buy a game console, bro, and stream.
Dude, I think about it often because I have the third channel, for gaming. But maybe I'll get it for PC. I don't know. Maybe I'll live stream and do stuff like that. But it's so funny because now I think Blaze Baxter is definitely like my career name. So shout out to Blaze Baxter. Shout out to AI for giving me that.
Facts.
But I swear to God, bro, wrestling names are generic in WWE, and I think it's just like pretty shit. So yeah. Russell Cummins dropped a $10 super chat, by the way.
Oh, let's go.
Tiff wins at WrestleMania, then drops it to Alexa. The Alexa drops it to Grace. Then Grace drops it to Rhea. Then Rhea drops it off to Tiff. And then Tiff drops it to Flair. Then Flair versus Grace, WrestleMania 42.
This dude got it figured out.
Yeah, Russell. Hand him the book.
Right, get this guy the book. He's got it.
I will say this. The only reason why I don't agree with this, there's only one reason. Going into WrestleMania 42, I think WWE will have found a way to put Stephanie McCurry and Julia on the main roster.
For sure.
Yeah. I think whatever Flair does at WrestleMania next year, it's probably going to be like against the Legend, something like that, like Trish Stratus versus Charlotte or something. I don't see it a situation like that. Who knows?
We'll see.
It's interesting though when you see people fantasy booking and coming to like this whole thing of like, this is who it could be. There's nothing you could say. Like, I can't listen. I might not agree, but you never know with WWE.
Right, exactly. We could sit here and say, oh yeah, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they could start that pathway right there. You never know.
I think, well, listen to this, right? I think this is a big one. When you look at Roxanne gets called up to the main roster, Julia, Stephanie, Jordan Grace. I think you also have to be mindful of like people like Lyra Valkyria, Chelsea Green. Like there's still
that women's mid card is supposed to be a stepping stone into the main event scene.
Does it become one though?
That's what we got to figure out.
That'll be interesting to find out, right?
It will. That's going to be the most interesting thing to find out.
A lot of pressure on WWE, man. For sure,
especially trying to build two new mid cards, right? Because they're trying to do it not only on Raw but on SmackDown as well.
Yeah, it goes back to what I've said though. Get rid of the women's tag titles and focus on that.
Yeah, drop them shits.
The thing for so long too, maybe this is a disadvantage for WWE, but they've built main roster level stars, like main event level stars, that now if they were to go for the Intercontinental Championship,
you wouldn't believe it.
Not that I wouldn't believe it, but I'd be like, it's kind of like a step down.
Yeah.
Like if Bianca were to settle for like the US title.
But somebody like Alexa Bliss, I could see hopping into that realm.
Oh, I believe 100% Alexa Bliss should go after Chelsea Green.
Yeah, so do I.
Wyatt Six going after Chelsea Green, I think would be really funny.
Yep.
And then I think there's a way to bring in Matt Cardona, and then you got Matt Cardona versus Uncle Howdy, and
That'd be fun.
that's where Ango gets a little.
This guy's cooking on a random fucking Wednesday.
How about you give us a take, Billy?
Do I have any hot takes right now?
I don't know. Did you see any of my hot takes on Twitter yesterday?
No. What were they?
Oh,
Can you pull them up? Can you pull them up?
Oh, let's see. Let me read them off. I angered some people apparently again.
Oh, maybe it's not such a hot take, but you know, I think the main event of WrestleMania is going to be a fatal 4-way match, and I'm sticking by it.
I was just kidding. I wasn't. To be honest with you, I only play that because I just want to show people.
He said, "I just wanted people to see."
Yeah, no, that was it. Hopefully people could actually hear it on the stream. Yeah, no, I put out the tweet. TNA and NXT is the greatest partnership to ever exist in pro wrestling. Thank you, wrestling gods. A lot of people weren't happy with that because they think AEW and New Japan is great, and that's fine, like whatever. But no, I really love the NXT TNA partnership. I love the fact. Yesterday we got Johnny Dango Curtis, JDC. He pulled up representing the system. But he showed up with the Fandango entrance, which was a really smart idea because that's how you get the pop in the moment. Right. And it was random. And I like the fact that my number one fear with WWE was when they do a partnership with TNA, it's like we're going to ignore these people that have been on WWE television, you know? Mm-hmm. And that to me was really cool because I don't know if I'm cool with Johnny Curtis going after Lexus King, and we'll see what that leads to.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was really fucking awesome that they still understood like Johnny's history back in WWE.
Right.
People forget about those early days of NXT, but that was Johnny Curtis's stomping grounds before he got called up as Fandango and beat Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. So
that random WrestleMania match.
I loved it. I still hands down celebrate that. I still think that was the right call.
Bro, because of the name. He couldn't pronounce his name. Wasn't that the reason? Yeah, that's awesome.
Fandango.
Yeah.
That was fun though, Fandango and Summer Rae, but I like the fact that there was a callback to it, and then you know, the NXT partnership thing is just I love it. It's a scorching hot take.
It's fun.
I think it's beneficial. It's not the WWE is not sending a talent to TNA and being like, hey, make them a world champion, right? But it's like, hey, we're gonna have a crossover, we're gonna work with people, we're gonna do some small things, and really it helps the mid card, you know.
Oh, for sure, yeah, big time.
Yeah. Really quick, shout out to Russell Cummins for the super chat. That's Russell's third super chat since joining us last week. So shout out to Russell for contributing. Appreciate you. Russell. Toledo Channel dropped another super chat. NXT Breakout Tournament is my favorite. Femi, Lola Vice, Carmelo, Roxanne were the previous winners. Don't know why they didn't conduct it in 2024. I thought they did, but maybe they didn't, and I just can't remember. But I will say this. There is a lot of people within WWE Evolve now and WWE ID, and I think that's where maybe it should go. Like that.
Yeah, I think that's where it should exist.
Yeah,
because that would be awesome. Because then they can get an NXT World Title shot or an Evolve World Title shot. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah,
that's a good way to. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. To me, as I said before, like I'm super excited about NXT Evolve or WWE Evolve, I should say. I think the idea of Evolve just being a thing and like building up. There's a lot of things you can do, man. There's a lot. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that excites me is the fact that right now NXT is struggling in the main event scene. But what if there's somebody in the, like for the men, like what if there's somebody that comes into Evolve and they're just like, man, they fucking got it. And they get over. And it becomes a talking point on social media. And it becomes a talking point backstage. And next thing you know, it's like, hey, we got to put them in NXT. Like that solves a problem.
It does.
You know?
It does.
So
sure, big time.
Shout out to Toledo Channel for the super chat. Guys, just a quick reminder, super chats help engage and drive the conversation forward. So feel free to drop one and then also become a champion. You can sign up for membership starting at $1.99 a month. If you enjoy what we do and how we talk and how we present ourselves, please feel free to support us. Listen, Billy, like I want to talk a little bit about NXT. You know, one thing in particular with NXT that kind of bothers me.
What's that?
So we get Johnny Dango Curtis,
Yes.
JDC. We
Yes.
get him on NXT, and I like this fact that we got him and stuff like that. And we know that he'll have a match and he'll work
Yep.
NXT, and it's going to cross over with TNA and stuff. But when you look at this partnership, because earlier I made that key point where I was saying like, hey, like they shouldn't have. Excuse me. They shouldn't have to rely on
TNA stars
for their main event scene.
Mm-hmm.
However, on the flip side of that, like there's a lot of talent that could go after Alexis King in the Heritage Cup. So would it make more sense for them to kind of focus on that main event scene, because that's the struggle? Like, as much as I hate the idea of them relying on TNA.
Well, yeah, right now they need to. Right now, you need to bring a guy like Moose in.
Oh, everybody wants the Moose and Obafemi match.
Yeah, come on, give it to the people, right? If there is nobody in that main event scene, because I know, regardless of what we're sitting here saying, I know that there are numerous people that feel the exact same way that we do about this situation, because it's bad. That main event scene, like when I seen Eddie Thorpe last night, it felt dry. It didn't feel like anything exciting. It felt like unbelievable, right? So now, looking at it, it's like, yeah, you need to take away from some of that main event talent, like a Sami Callihan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people that are actually believable. Steve Macklin is another name.
Which is funny, because I feel like Steve Macklin would be the perfect, like I said, even there was a time where it was rumored that he was going to come to AEW or WWE and leave TNA. And I was like, no, he has to go to WWE. He has to go to WWE because he literally fits the WWE style, and that's where he learned. And he wasn't really given a fair shot in WWE. If he went to AEW, he's just another guy. If he goes to WWE, he could be a difference maker. And it's so funny, because if you look at the main event scene in NXT right now, man, you get Steve Macklin acclimated to the WWE audience on NXT, dude, he'll show up onto the main roster and just blow the fucking roof off. It's tough.
It is. Very.
Justin Kennington extending his membership renewed for 23 months. He says, how about Sheamus versus Braun versus AJ Styles versus Penta versus Pete Dunne versus Ludwig Kaiser in a 6-man ladder match for the IC title at Mania? Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this the other day. I think those are the 6 people that make sense.
Yep. It's just kind of all aligning, and we're getting to that point.
Yeah, I think that's going to be massive, man. I think that's, when you look at WrestleMania and you look at the Intercontinental Championship and you look at what they're building on Raw, I mean, it's a no-brainer at this point that they have something very significant there.
6-man ladder match, count me in. I'm there for it.
Yeah, I think also too, it allows Braun to drop the belt, and who they give it to really matters. And I mean, this is just going to be a banger. But if you really, really want, maybe you build a singles feud for AJ for WrestleMania.
For sure.
And, AJ's on Raw. What the hell's happening with the OC? I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
WWE.
I was about to say, whatever happened to them?
It's weird, because AJ's on Raw. I don't know, man. They have this weird thing about fucking building the OC as a legitimate faction.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, they just don't exist. They had Michin involved in that for some time. Yeah.
Drop the ball. Triple H drops the ball too, guys. Don't get it twisted. It's just not as often, but he dropped the ball there. Shout out to Justin. Thank you, Justin. We got another super chat from Russell Cummins for $2. He says, did Alexa get the biggest pop of the night? If we're talking about the Royal Rumble, yes. She had to. She got a massive pop.
People went crazy for her. I went crazy. I was sitting in my house.
Yeah, I'm happy for her, man. She's a. You talk about the Wyatt 6 and you talk about what's possibly there, you got to have Alexa there.
Yeah, because I think when you're dealing with Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, whatever, right?
Yeah.
You have to mention Alexa's name next to Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Because she played such a significant role in his last long run, right? As the Fiend. She played such a significant role in that. And like, you could tell just even the way when she came out, like with the jacket and stuff like that. And, the Friends Forever. And like, that just tells you that she needs to be involved in whatever is associated with him. And that's not to say like that's a stigma thing. Like, oh, now that Alexa Bliss had that, or interaction with Bray Wyatt, she now has to be attached to everything. That's not what it is. It's that it makes sense right now.
Yeah. I think that's like the perfect. It just makes sense.
It does.
Not only did she get the biggest pop of the night, but I think it just kind of goes to show you that there is room for more with the YS6. I think there was no YS6 representation at the Royal Rumble. We haven't really been seeing them lately. Somebody may be injured. There might be a situation there, but people remember Alexa for what she did with Bray. People were happy for her to come back. We haven't seen her in a long time. I think people also want the YS6. Make this a big thing on SmackDown, please.
Yeah, make it big.
Shout out to Russell Cummins for the $2. Darth Bane dropping $4.99. Cena wins the belt off of Cody, then drops it to Punk at either SummerSlam or Survivor Series. Then Punk drops it to Drew at Mania 42.
No.
No, listen, I'm gonna be honest. I'm for this, man.
No.
I'm for it.
I'm not.
Why?
I don't think Cena should beat Cody.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Bring it on.
And I'm asking you because I'm just trying to be realistic.
Yeah, come on.
Cody is going to need a very credible person to take the belt off of him.
You have Randy do it.
Okay, that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Because Randy, Cena, they're up there. They're the upper echelon of WWE.
Yes.
But if you want John Cena to win number 17, if John Cena is going to win number 17, don't you take that? Isn't that an opportunity though, where it's like, man, if Cody dropped the belt to Cena, like I don't think people would be mad.
Are we missing the story? If Cody drops it to Randy, right?
Yeah.
Then you get Randy and Cena.
I understand, but I think Randy and Cody is a better story.
Well, I'm saying you still get Randy and Cody. You still get that story. And
for the belt.
Yes, for the belt. And then later down this year, right? Because you flip that and you have Randy take the belt from Cody at SummerSlam. And then in the fall, you have Cena and Randy feud. Cena wins 17, potentially, right? In his farewell from Randy.
All I'm saying is if you see Karrion Kross lurking in the background of John Cena, then just know something big is happening. But I think John Cena needs to turn heel and beat Cody, and that would shock the world, and that would get him number 17.
I think that's too deep of fantasy booking.
It is very deep of fantasy booking, but it's the right kind of fucking booking, bro. John Cena doesn't need to be a babyface anymore.
Because even I said the other day that he should potentially beat Jey Uso. That was my original thought. I think he should.
I think John Cena should beat Cody, turn heel, low blow him, win the belt, shock the world. Eventually, Cody could get it back. Then you could do Cody and Punk or Cody and Randy. Randy and Cody entices me because of the history with Legacy, and then obviously everything since Randy's return. There's obviously a lot of history there. I think Punk and Randy would be an amazing feud. I think Punk and Cody's going to be an amazing feud. And what's really cool is like Cena could have a feud with Punk, but I need to see Cena actually retain the belt. So if Cena were to be a heel and Punk was the babyface, like imagine how fucking crazy of a story arc that would be. Punk doesn't need the world title in 2025. He can win the title in 2026 at WrestleMania in the main event if you really want. So maybe what you could do is have Cena win and then, have a couple successful reigns or whatever. I don't think Drew's going to get to the world title just yet. I think Drew eventually needs to turn babyface.
Yeah, he does. We need to get back to Drew, the good guy.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start seeing some shifts from the guys who were heels now going babyface. I think we're going to start seeing that shift soon. It's been long enough for a lot of the guys that were heels and stuff like that have played the heel figure. So I do think that we'll start seeing them go babyface and some of the babyfaces going heel.
Yeah.
Like CM Punk, I think he should win the world title as a heel.
But a John Cena heel turn.
I think he should main event WrestleMania as a heel.
So let's talk about this. Give me a second, Billy, because we're gonna
Come on, man. Yeah.
Okay. Give me a moment. Well, we'll get to the super chats, guys. Just give me a second.
It took us a little while, but we're finding our rhythm.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great conversation, and I just know that we gotta talk about it. So that's what we're gonna do. And don't worry, guys, we will get to those super chats. I promise.
For sure.
So yeah, obviously the conversation, this has led to a really good conversation because of we're talking about, does John Cena win number 17, right? How does John Cena win number 17? Like if we're looking into a crystal ball, looking into the future, I think it's really hard. It's really hard to decipher like what the plan is. And obviously when you read the super chat, Cena wins the belt off Cody, then drops it to Punk at SummerSlam or Survivor Series, then Punk drops it to Drew at Mania 42. I don't have an issue with this, but we got to talk again about Cody and how he drops the belt, because Cody has been built as the ultimate superhero, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw the chase. A heel just coming in and taking it away from Cody it's a good, decent storyline. But I think the real question is, should John Cena be heel? And I think if imagine WrestleMania Night 2, if John Cena challenges Cody, he wins the Elimination Chamber, goes against Cody, and it's babyface versus babyface. Naturally, you got a 50-50 crowd because people are going to either boo Cody or cheer Cody. They're either going to boo or cheer John Cena. This is going to be a very hard thing for the crowd to absorb. You don't want to damage Cody and what he's doing as a babyface. If you have John Cena beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania and he hits the low blow, he does something. It just shocks the world. We're getting Hollywood John Cena, like a true dickhead. Like he was that desperate, right? The reactions and everything. It's very different from how WrestleMania 40 ended, where everybody got to leave happy. This would be the craziest moment because Cody got cheated against from John Cena, right?
What if Cody turned heel though?
No, because here's the thing. John Cena's not here. John Cena's not here for a good time. He's not here for a long time. He's here for a good time. Cody's here for a long time. You could turn Cody heel anytime, but I think there is more of
the stressor with that is WWE is always going to prioritize John Cena over somebody like Cody Rhodes.
Okay, so
their merchandise sales, they're going to care more about the image of John Cena rather than they are Cody Rhodes.
Brother, John Cena, this is like John Cena versus The Rock, once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime, thrice in a lifetime, 4 times in a lifetime, 5 times in a lifetime, 6 times in a lifetime, 7 times in a lifetime, 8 times in a lifetime.
My thing is why would you have John finish off as a heel when the guy has been doing this for 20 plus years?
Okay, we know that 2025 is his last year.
Yes, so why are you going to have him walk away as a heel?
You have him turn babyface.
What, with the last second?
Yeah.
No, nobody's going to do that.
Hold on. Okay, just not to skip everybody's super chats. We'll get back to those, but this one is really relevant. Kevin Schiffman dropped the $5 super chat, and he says Jay wins at Mania, then loses to a heel Cena at SummerSlam, and then loses it to Austin. They circle back to the promo. So then, if Jay wins and you got John Cena turning heel against Jey Uso, would that satisfy you a little bit more?
I think regardless, no matter what, yes, that would satisfy me a little more, right? Because I don't think Cena should even be in that conversation with Cody Rhodes right now.
I think that's crazy.
I'm just being honest.
Cody Rhodes is the second coming of John Cena, bro. They haven't had a babyface that massive.
That's fine. Yeah, exactly. They're two of the same. They're the same person.
So you're telling me you wouldn't want that moment where John Cena turns heel and shocks the world to beat Cody?
Oh, dude, I'm not saying that. Nobody's saying that.
Then tell me what you're saying. Tell me what you're saying.
I want that moment. The problem is that moment is not realistic.
I think anything is realistic.
Not when this dude has sold numerous amounts of merchandise. They put out everything for this guy. They roll out the red carpet for John Cena.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that you're going to have him turn heel with 6 months left in his run? For then ultimately kids to hate him? They're not trying to have this guy hated before he walks out.
I'm telling you right now, there's a way to there's a way to get around that.
You turn him babyface in the last match?
Nah, there's a way to do it sooner.
So what? He turns heel for 2 weeks?
Maybe it's just for the one night.
What the fuck?
Maybe it's just for the one night. Hold on. So another super chat from Brian McHattie, also on topic. He says Cena will be a white meat babyface to the end. I don't see him riding into the sunset remembered as a heel. But I don't think he has to ride into the sunset as a heel.
Bro, the problem is no matter what way you book it, them kids will hate that guy in WWE. We could talk about Triple H. We could talk about Vince McMahon. We could talk about Eric Bischoff, whoever the fuck is booking it, right? It doesn't fucking matter. No matter what, at the end of the day, John Cena is a white meat babyface. That guy is not turning heel. There is not a chance.
Yeah, I have a response to that, and it's very simple. Kids.
That's so crazy because the other day we had this conversation on how it's for the kids, man. Jay,
I know. But dude, you're telling me about something, and I'm just trying to explain. Like, I know what you're saying, but John Cena's not going to be in the WWE anymore. This would be the most insane moment ever.
Okay. So if you want to have that argument, sure, right?
But really quick, it does justify Cody losing the belt.
The thing is there's so many routes that they can justify. Because here's my thought process. If they're going to do anything, they are going to have Randy take that belt off Cody as a heel. They have John Cena win it. He walks out with the title. It's a beautiful sunset walk. It's John Cena's 17th. He's the guy.
Okay, what if Randy Orton took the belt off of John Cena and that's Cody's way back to the belt? Cody dethroning Randy Orton at WrestleMania 42.
You could easily do that.
So there is a way to go about this that makes sense, is my point. Your argument, though, is that the kids are more important, and John Cena is not he's gonna be the white meat babyface.
It's not that the kids are more important. It's a fact.
I think, genuinely speaking, WWE should not give a fuck about John Cena's career after John Cena's career is done. I also think John Cena can battle internally in his head after he cheats against Cody. Because it's like now you don't even have to have him being a full heel. You could have him being a tweener. John Cena could walk out to Friday Night SmackDown or Monday Night Raw on Netflix and being like, man, I'm so disgusted in myself. This and that and blah, 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 blah. And, he's just battling internally. And then that's how you could literally have him drop the belt. Eventually, it's like simple. Like he could drop the belt just because internally he's just not 100% there because he can't believe he had to stoop so low. I mean, at the end of the day, bro, this is literally just for him to have the 17th World Championship. There's a lot of time between WrestleMania and the end of the year.
What if he doesn't win 17?
I think that's a problem for sure. So another super chat from Brian McHattie. He says John and WWE are too concerned about protecting his legacy instead of a worthless heel turn at the last seconds of his pure babyface career. And I get it. I understand. I get it. But guess what, my friend? I'm just being very, very honest with you. This is my response to that. I'm kidding. But I just think it's fun.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
The problem with it is, right, when you think about it ultimately, WWE has one goal here. It is to make sure that John Cena's legacy is remembered as the greatest WWE superstar that ever lived.
Yeah.
He outshined Hulk Hogan. He outshined Stone Cold. He outshined The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be real here. If he wins 17, numerically, that is correct.
Oh, but Charlotte Flair is going to have 20 in 2 weeks. Come on. Come on. Very simple. Yes or no? Should John Cena turn heel?
No.
We are going to agree to disagree this entire time. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that is unbelievable.
I don't think it does.
Unbelievable. We did miss a couple super chats, but this was a really great conversation. So let's get to those really quick. Shout out to Darth Bane and Brian McHattie and both of you just driving that conversation forward. I think it's fun. I don't think there's right or wrong. I don't think there's right or wrong. I think there's something a little bit more fun and something that's not fun. And I think John Cena turning heel is fun.
That's definitely the more fun answer.
Yeah. And Kevin Schiffman, thank you for your $5 super chat as well, for throwing that up there. And yeah, I think my answer is fun. Justin Kennington dropped a super chat earlier. He says Carl Anderson got hurt. That is why they are off TV.
Okay, didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that he was actually hurt. That makes sense. But also, what doesn't make sense is AJ going to be on Raw and then the OC will be on SmackDown, or do they get him? And I don't know. I don't.
Raw tag team to SmackDown.
This is valid, but it doesn't change the fact at all whatsoever. It does not change the fact that unfortunately WWE has dropped the ball with the OC.
Facts. Numerous
some
times.
stuff.
It's not just one time they did it.
Yeah, and then they brought Meech and Mia Yim, and then they didn't do anything with her, and I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, they've done this numerous times.
Yeah. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing one right now, so give me a second. Did I mention the Austin Theory?
Yeah.
I did mention Austin Theory. Okay, so I did pull that up. Is there any that I'm missing? Did I miss anybody's super chats? Tolino Channel said I missed his.
Yep.
Okay, let me look for that. I think that was before Russell's.
Was it?
No, the last one from Tolino Channel was the NXT Breakout Tournament.
Yeah, and we talked about that.
So I did get to that. Let me just double check. Let me just make sure I'm not lying. I'm scrolling.
Austin Theory should turn babyface. I agree.
Yeah. I'm so tired of this Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, Obafemi thing.
I'm over it.
Triple threat match. It's not even fun. Tolino Channel, the last super chat that I have from you was the one from.
We did get another super chat up top though.
Okay. Brian McHattie, you don't have to send that original super chat over again, but if you want to just let me know what it was in the comment, because I'm not seeing it. David Primero dropped $4.99. It ain't matter if Cena turns heel. Just stop giving Charlotte more title reigns. You want her to retire with a 50-time champion? I swear to God, there was a point in time. I'm not even bullshitting you guys. I really thought, you know, the best thing, Booker T would be like 5-time, 5-time. Charlotte,
50 times.
That shit kills me, bro. I swear, I'm not even bullshitting either. That's the sad thing.
That's hilarious.
That's the sad thing. Dude, it's fucking crazy thinking about that for a second, because you just got to remember, like, 17 world championships for John Cena. Like, that's a pretty.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. That's a big number.
But.
So I could shake the hand of the man who wins 18.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. But then John Cena wins number 17. It's like, are they not going to have somebody beat John Cena? Of course they will. It's going to be freaking. It's going to be
Randy Orton.
Yeah, Randy Orton.
Come on, man. Into his 50s.
Dude, Braun Breaker is going to be a 20-time world champion. Wait till we get to that point where it's Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker, the new Randy Orton and John Cena.
Yeah, we're watching that every 3 months on a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Shout out to David Primero for the $4.99. Brian McHattie, guess what, buddy? I found your super chat, and no, it doesn't matter. Nothing is ever off topic on this channel, so that's why I want to find it. Does NXT possibly need a few more type permanent roster people that they aren't trying to move up? Give the roster a little bit more stability. So this is a wonderful question. And the reason why I think this is a very difficult question to answer is because WWE will always have that ladder system between Raw, SmackDown being the bridge to NXT. With that being said, I think you will see a lot more veterans eventually get moved to NXT in a capacity. But I think the idea will always be to have fresh blood come from NXT to the main roster.
Right, exactly. But you see somebody like Natalia asking to go face Masha Slamovich, saying that she wants to face her. And I think of that and I'm like, oh, see, this is talent. You can move some of that talent that's not being utilized on Raw and SmackDown elsewhere.
Yeah,
we'll bring up new faces as time goes.
So here's the thing, right? Like Apollo Crews, I talked about it yesterday on the channel, but Apollo Crews got a torn pec.
Yes.
He's going to be out for some time. So like this would be a perfect time where like your mid card on SmackDown is taking another hit. Why not call up Wesley? right?
Yeah. Or
Like
Ethan
there's
Page, like I said.
Yeah, like there's opportunities for call-ups. But then I've talked about before, like, hey, the Judgment Day thing kind of sucks now. Maybe move Carlito to NXT. So I like the idea of NXT having permanent roster people like on there that are just permanently there. But I think those got to be the vets, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, a great example of this is Shawn Spears. He comes into NXT, he's pretty much doing some stuff behind the scenes, which is awesome because they could benefit from that. Shawn Spears is truly a hell of a talent, but are you really going to put Shawn Spears in the main event of WrestleMania? No. But are you going to prioritize Shawn Spears over Duke Hudson? Yeah, you probably will because Shawn Spears is going to have that backstage role. Now, the good news is Shawn Spears could also be an on-screen character.
Yep.
Whereas I think a guy like Duke Hudson gets released, but he still has way more to go in his career and pursue.
Versus
And
Shawn
maybe,
Spears, who is, maybe not at the end, but he has a time limit and you know what's going on.
yeah. And that's why he also has the backstage stuff. And maybe I'm just talking out of my ass right now, but I think that's kind of how WWE thinks a little bit.
Imagine like 3 years from now, Shawn Spears is main event in WrestleMania 45.
That'd be sick. I wouldn't be mad. I mean, I know a lot of people will fucking hate that, but yeah. Yeah. So Hudson, I don't know, Brian, if you saw it in the beginning, but we were talking about it. I also made a video on it. Duke Hudson got released quietly in January. And the reported reason was that WWE looked at him as too old to go to the main roster and become a star.
Yeah.
According to Triple H, apparently. I don't know how true that is or how accurate that is, but that is something that's being said. So, thank you, Brian McHattie, for that super chat, and I apologize for missing that. We just had a very good conversation, yeah, and it was a passionate one. Billy was bringing the passion, Billy was bringing the fire. So,
we dig it, man. We dig it.
Yeah. If anybody has any other last minute super chats, get those in now. We crushed the goal, by the way. So thank you guys for that, and shout out to everybody who has joined us and stuff
on some random ass Wednesday. We crushed it.
Yeah, man, it's always fun. It's always a good time doing the show, and I hope you guys actually like enjoy the show. Because there is a lot of things that I want to do with this and building this up, and we're consistently doing the stream at this time slot. It's very different from, the post shows and stuff like that. And obviously from time to time we'll do a post show. I do want to do a post show for Vengeance Day. However, that is Valentine's Day weekend and your boy might be a little bit busy. So just saying, I don't know if that's a possibility, but
we'll figure it out.
We're really trying to build this up and really I think there's a lot of people who do wrestling talk shows. I think for me, what's really fun about this one specifically is the fact that we have this whole thing kind of like just a natural conversation and we bullshit and we banter and we talk and yes, we fantasy book and yes, we're going to criticize and praise things, but I think everybody wants to be a review show. Everybody wants to be a review show and personally speaking, I don't like breaking down every single thing on a show because it's going to get to the point where people are going to agree, disagree, and then people fight about the show and this show is good, that show is bad. I don't think that's really fun when you could just watch the show yourself. So I think these kind of shows allow us to talk about things that have happened on the show, what we liked, what we disliked, and it kind of spirals out of control and goes into something bigger and better.
Yeah, like a moment ago, we were talking about NXT. It turns into John Cena turning heel. Like there's just so many numerous things that can be brought up here, and I think that's what makes this fun.
Yeah, exactly. There was a super chat from Tolino Channel that just came in. There is only 1 year left for Cena. It's time to experiment heel Cena. He hinted it in the WrestleMania 36 versus Fiend. He's an actor now, a villain and a hero. Who thought Rock turns heel in 2024? Yeah, I mean, I would have never guessed Rock.
Okay, that's a fair point. Before we jump off air, that's a good point, Tolino Channel.
Anything could happen. Heel John Cena it's worth it, bro. John Cena, when he's done with WWE.
Now, the difference between Rock and Cena, though, right? The one quick difference is that Rock never said he's done and he's not coming back. Cena said he's done and he's not coming back.
Oh, I think John Cena, we'll see him. It's just the end of his career.
I think we'll see him.
Yeah.
But regardless of that man, he's not wrestling again.
Yeah, exactly. So he could come back and still be a nice baby face and my name is John Cena. I love the kids.
I'll tell you what, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a heel Cena. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. This is
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
fun.
I know these damn noises are gonna get on my nerves. I got my own too.
Yeah, you know, my favorite is oh, I got an idea. What's what's this? Okay, I'm not gonna click that because I don't know which one that is. So no, it's an effect. It's an effect. I don't know what it sounds like. I added some effects on here. So yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tolino channel for that super chat. I saw a message in the chat, so we are going to address it because our good friend Mojo Dojo, who is a member on the channel, he says, what happened to taking calls? Oh, shit. Get ready. I should have the solution tomorrow. It's pretty much set up. It's just the form factor of who gets to call in, doesn't get to call in. And I do believe it is going to be a super chat tier where if you have a super chat, you'll get access to a phone number. There's going to be a certain amount to the specific super chat. But the reason for that is because when you call in, you're not going to just be booted. It's not just going to be like this whole thing of you call in, ask your question. It's going to be a whole thing where we all discuss together. The point of the show is to drive discussion further. So unfortunately, as you can imagine, there's a lot of people when they've done, and I've done call-in shows before, but the issue has been in the past where you do a call-in and then you get some trolls. So the thing is, if we have a tiered system and you're able to actually join the show, it means that you'll probably take it a little bit more seriously when calling in. So that's kind of how we're going to probably do it. That doesn't mean it's 100% for sure, but I think that is a possibility. So obviously we'll see, but definitely stay tuned. I think by tomorrow, like I already have it set up and working, and that's cool. It's just a matter of figuring out what exactly that tier is.
I can't wait to talk to y'all.
I can't wait either, because the thing is, listen, let's say you drop a $20 super chat, right? And you're calling in. I don't want it to be a thing where you drop a $20 super chat and then you're like talking for like 2 to 5 minutes. I want you to actually like engage and like have a conversation and talk, not just call it in and ask a question.
Right.
So we'll figure it out. Maybe it's $20, maybe it's $15, maybe it's $10. I don't know. But the point of it will be that you can call in and we'll actually have a talk and talk about the things that you want to discuss. So yeah. An hour and a half has gone by, and the Ango show just continues to be absolutely awesome. Thank you guys so much for crushing it today, man. Really just amazing stuff, and you know, just want to say thank you again and again and again and again, and you know, damn, dude, I love this live show. This is becoming this is what's Cameo?
Oh, that's the app where you can like send videos and stuff to people.
I don't think people would buy a Cameo from me.
You don't know that. I'd buy one from you.
You're a liar.
Yeah, I am.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
God, it's so fun. I'm addicted to it. Appreciate you guys watching Twitter and Twitch and YouTube and all that good stuff. Make sure you guys are following and subscribe to Billy TKO. Shout out to Billy for joining us. Make sure you guys subscribe to him. Definitely appreciate you.
5,300 subscribers.
Oh, you're there, brother. You're there. Guys, let's get him there, please.
I'm like 7 people away. So 7 people want to go subscribe. Go subscribe,
man. YouTube.com/@BillyTKO. And really quick, just shout out to everybody in the chat as always. Brian McHattie, Jester, Mojo Dojo, Cedric, Tolino Channel, Tube News. So many of you guys, man, really appreciate it. David Primero, King David. There's just so many people. Aiden, you know, whether you guys agree, disagree, doesn't matter. Shout out to Hooligan, he's in here as well. Darth Bane, just so many people, guys. Kevin Schiffman, appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for joining us. And tomorrow should be a really interesting show. We're gonna probably talk a little bit about Dynamite, you know, my favorite show of the week. Right. So yeah. It's gonna be
fun on all cylinders tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Shout out to everybody. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay tuned to the channel as well. More news videos being popped out, as well as highlights on more Ango. and we'll see you guys next time.